Okay, Anna and I are popping in really fast at the top of this show.
Yeah.
Because there's been a bit of confusion.
Yes.
Anna, people think that we will be at KetoCon in April. We've seen a lot of that.
A lot of people have been asking.
Okay, now
Yeah, and I've had to say, not that I'm aware. First of all, I didn't even know it was in April.
I knew that.
Just found that out.
I knew that KetoCon was coming up in April.
Okay,
but
you're more with it than I am.
No one invited me. Have you been invited?
No.
Okay, so we've not been invited to KetoCon, so
no,
we won't be there.
No.
So, folks, if you're buying tickets because you want to meet Anna and watch her cook or whatever, for whatever odd reason you want to see me walk around the stage and yell.
You give a good speech, sir.
Oh, you're too kind.
And yell.
Yeah, I yell a lot. At any rate, no, we've not been invited. Just to clear that up, for some reason, there's whole groups of people that are now saying they can't wait to meet us at KetoCon. We will not be there. We're not upset with
no, everything's fine. But we just want to be really clear.
Yeah, Robin is a great woman, and we want that show to be a success. By all means, go. But we just won't be there because no one has asked us to be there. So,
should we admit that publicly?
I guess people don't want to see us. All right, so now on with the show. The screen.
Regular, extra large, normalizing the situation. Stay motivated.
So it's hard for you to tell right there, but.
So are those different widths of chairs?
Yes.
That you're showing? Okay.
Yeah. So I was at, took Serena in for her colonoscopy, and I'm sitting there, and you know how they have like the institutionalized style chairs.
Yeah.
And they had like regular person size, then they had a much larger one, and hooked to that was, like double the size of the extra large. Right. So
right.
I just looked at that. And as you know, I don't fat shame. So I instructed Megan what to write underneath. I said, Megan, let people know that this is not fat shaming. But I said, don't use the term fat and shaming together because that will get nixed. Just put shaming. So listen, folks, here's what was written. Listen, folks, I'm not trying to shame anyone, but normalizing obesity, a preventable disease, is not the answer. Stay motivated. That's all I put, right? As of right now, let's see here. Let me refresh this. Shut up, Ben. We have like over 10,000 views. We have 65 people who commented. Of the 65, probably, let's say 55 of those are people going, oh my God. Most people are going, I never noticed those type of chairs before. Other people said, oh, I always thought that was for two people that wanted to sit next to each other like a couple. No one was being funny. No one got, like literally very few people understood that this was for someone who weighs, kind of like Scott King size, like a 600-pound person.
Right. Old Scott King.
Old Scott King, not the way
Scott King.
Right. I wasn't doing this to shame anyone. To shame someone would have had to have been in the photo. And of course, the 10 or so things I've seen so far, because it's only been up for about 2 hours. Oh, where do you expect these poor people to sit? On the floor? No, folks, I'm not shaming anyone. I'm not saying take the chairs out. What I'm saying is, this is that old adage, if you throw a frog in a pot of boiling water, it will jump out because it's too hot. But if you put a frog in a pot of room temperature water and you start easing up the heat, the frog's going to go, oh, it's okay. This feels pretty, I'm okay. And then before you know it, the frog boils to death. We're getting to boil to death. Let me give you different examples if this chair example didn't work for you. Several years ago, I got on my spinner one day when I turned on the television. It's the only time I watch television unless it's football. And I saw a show. on TLC called My 600-Pound Life.
Yeah, that's a show.
And shortly after that, one Mr. Howie Mandel said to me, have you seen this show, My 600-Pound Life? And I said, no, I haven't, because I can't believe that we're now putting this on television. I feel sorry for these people. They shouldn't be there.
Mhm.
And I said, by the way, Howie, it won't be long before we have My 1,000-Pound Life. And he goes, oh, come on. I said, what do you mean, come on? 100 years ago, the fattest person on the planet wasn't 300 pounds. Now we can easily put a show together with 600-pound people. How long do you think it will be before we have 1,000-pound people on television shows? He goes, I don't see that happening. Well, what is it called? My 1,000-Pound Sisters? What's the show called, Anna?
I can Google
It's
it.
1,000-pound something out there, right? And if you think it's going to stop there, it's not. We're getting
1,000-pound sisters on TLC.
right. We're getting bigger by the minute, and it's happening so slowly that most of the comments are, I've never noticed those chairs before, or I just assumed those chairs were for people to sit, like a love seat, because it's love seat size. Most people's minds don't wrap around that we have people that size.
Right.
And I'm not saying we should take the chairs away. We probably need more of them.
Right.
The problem is that we have a situation that we need to address. We're going in the wrong direction. I've said this, people get mad when I talk about, I walk through Target. I walk through the Target, as I call it. And, the mannequins are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now they have mannequins with dad bods. And they have the heavy mannequins for women and the whole thing. And people go, what, we're not supposed to see mannequins? No, I'm not saying that. When you start normalizing everything, okay, I'm not saying we need to fat shame anyone, but when everything becomes normalized and we have a fucking healthcare system that's falling on its face right now, most people can't afford insurance anymore. Is that fat shaming? Most people cannot afford insurance because it goes up and up and up and up and up. And the root of all of it is the problem of morbid obesity, the problem that when you have morbid obesity, like Lizzo, who we can't fat shame, you also have type 2 diabetes, you're on your way to fatty liver disease, you're on your way to 20 different kind of cancers, you're on your way to all sorts of problems. But instead of someone like Lizzo saying, hey, I want to do something about it, because she's got a lot of people watching her. She's a very talented woman. She's a beautiful woman. She's got a lot of people watching her. Instead of doing something about it, they're showing all the fucking Doritos she's eating. Is this where we want to be? Is this the world you want to live in, Anna? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a world where only a few people can afford insurance and everyone else is paying the bills for everyone else who can't. As I've always said, we worry about China's and balloons and all this kind of shit. Any country will be able to come in here and take us without a shot. Number one, we won't have a military. We're gonna break under the weight of our own weight. And if you think I'm making this stuff up, look how quickly we went from the fattest person in the world being 300 pounds to 600-pound life. And within a couple of years, we're at 1,000-pound sisters. And if you think it's going to stop there, it's not. Have you been
It's
the same problem.
No.
My buddies would always say, I watch football. I'll put on my sweatpants when I watch football.
No.
Why do you do that?
Folks,
well, I can eat pizza and beer. I don't have to worry about my belt.
Because you want to meet Anna and watch
the
her
frog
cook or whatever.
The expansion of the sweatpants will keep expanding with you while you're sitting there getting bloated on beer and pizza. Right? You don't have to feel bad about yourself.
Yeah. I yell a lot.
You don't have to feel bad about yourself. I can't tell you the number of people,
just to clear
because I've been
up,
talking to morbidly obese people for 40 years.
I can't wait to meet us at KetoCon.
The number of people that
will not
came
be there.
had a come to Jesus moment.
No, everything's
when
But we just want to be
it
really
used to
clear
be-
we're not gonna be there.
Robin is a
Used
great
to be
woman, and we
got on an
want that she will be
airplane.
a
Yeah.
I
success.
couldn't buckle a seatbelt. I was
By
trying
all
to hide it.
means,
The stewardess or the steward
But
noticed
we
it.
just won't be there because no
They were
one
like,
has
"Sir,
asked us to
sir,
be
you
there."
need." I
So
couldn't buckle. They had to give me the extender. That
Should
was
we
the
admit
day I
that
did
publicly?
X, Y, and Z.
I guess people don't want to
I-
see us. All right,
My
so
mother
now
died.
On with
I
the
didn't
show.
have time to go and get a suit. I couldn't even wear a suit to my mother's funeral because I had gotten so fat from the last time I wore my suit. That was the X, Y, and Z. Scott King, the aforementioned Scott King. He's sitting in a chair. He's 600 pounds. His toddler runs out into a fucking street. I know I'm cursing a lot today. I don't mean to, but I'm hot. I'm piping mad. His toddler runs out into a street. This guy couldn't save his own kid's life. Couldn't save her life. He couldn't
on.
get up from a chair.
Can we be clear? His child did not get hit by anything.
No.
His child did not die. You made
His
it sound
child-
like
but he thought about it when he
child was
finally
struck.
when
Yeah.
he finally he rolled off
Child's okay.
his knees. He got up. He got his kid. Luckily, it wasn't a busy street. He got his kid, but he's walking back, going, "My kid could have gotten hit by a car, and I could do nothing about it." That man did something that day. He did something that day. We need situations where people at least look at it and go, "You know what? That's not what we should want to be. And again, fat shaming will not, a lot of people wrote in my comments, we need to start fat shaming. No, we don't. We do not have to fat shame. There's not a fat person out there that wants to be fat, including Lizzo. I think she's lying about it. She feels like there's nothing she can do about it. She's got everyone holding her up on a pedestal right now. But if she was anything like the little British chick who was also Adele, who decided, hey, I'm going to lose weight. I'm sure Lizzo went, wait a minute. One of the biggest pop stars in the world lost weight, and she lost favor with a lot of her fans. That could easily be the case. Easily. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent here today, Anna, because we were here to talk about you and food today. But when I see something like that and people take it the wrong way, that drives me nuts, especially when I write in the notes, this is not about shaming. Not about shaming at all. Anyway, to break this up a little bit, let's do a Villa Capelli ad right here, Anna, and then we'll go right to your stuff. You want me to do Villa Capelli ad?
You guys like Villa Capelli? You guys like olive oil? I tell you what, olive oil is a very healthy fat because that's what olive oil is. And if you're interested in eating healthy fats, then you need some Villa Capelli olive oil. I bet you're going to be making some salad dressings at home now that you've figured out that all the salad dressings at the stores have lampante, they have lamp oil, they have seed oil, they have all the crappy processed oils. You don't want that. You want olive oil to make your salad dressings, to make your marinades, to pan fry some vegetables, to pan fry. You know what? You're going to pan fry a little bit of fish. You need a little bit of olive oil in there to get that pan started, don't you, Vinnie?
That's what we use. And Anna, let me tell you something. It happened again today on the phone call. Guy's name is Michael, of all names. Very common name. Must be at least 6 years old. Michael said, hey, man, I thought you guys were, you're just shilling for this company. I finally got some Villa Capelli. After listening to you guys for 5 or 6 years, I finally got Villa Capelli. Oh, man. Is this, we can't make this stuff up. I hear this stuff on the phone calls all the time. People try it. They can't believe it. And the one thing they all say, Anna, is real olive oil tastes like a salad dressing in and of itself.
It does. In fact, you could just, in fact, I don't like steamed vegetables. I feel like it's sad and it reminds me of diet food from the 80s when they told us to eat low fat. But my husband does like steamed vegetables. So my trick is I will steam the vegetables that he likes, and then I will drizzle Villa Capelli and some salt all over it. And it's delicious. Yeah. It's so good. And if you don't feel like making a homemade salad dressing and pulling out all the ingredients, you can drizzle Villa Capelli all over everything. You can drizzle Villa Capelli all over. If you make a chicken breast and let's say you're not getting enough fat and you don't have an avocado you can cut up, drizzle the Villa Capelli on there. You want to get your hands on some Villa Capelli, you're going to go to villacapelli.com. Now, Capelli is spelled with 2 P's and 2 L's, CAPPELLI. And you're going to use the discount code Vinnie, VINNIE, and you'll get 10% off your order each and every time. Now, the trick that we tell you guys to do, hear us now, believe us later, buy about, what did we say was $143 to $145?
No, if you buy $145 worth, actually, if you buy $140, you take 14 from that, that's 10%. You're still above $125, and you get free shipping.
Yep. Do that. Use the discount code Vinnie, though, VINNIE, to get the keto.
This woman talks for a living, folks.
I speak for a living, and I just ran out of batteries. Villa Capelli, support them. They support us. They're longtime sponsors of the show, friends of the show, and we love them.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get worked up, but I just put that thing up about an hour or two ago. And I was just looking at the comments right before, I just got through working out right behind me. I'm a little ragged there. And I said, oh, let me see how this post is doing. Because I like to write back to the people. And I get it. Hey, you don't understand. I have lipo this and I have blah, blah, blah. I get it. Yeah. That's always been around. There's always been people with problems that can cause that. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about anyone. I'm not talking about the 600-pound or 800-pound or 1,000-pound people. I'm just saying that when we start normalizing something and we just make it so easy. It's kind of like the guy who sits down with the sweatpants on Sunday and says, bring me all the beer and all the pizza because I have a belt that will never get tight.
I want to chime in and give a little bit of a different perspective, which
I would
is
love it.
it's okay to want to eat till your pants just don't fit. I get it. However, sometimes it's really good to have boundaries with ourselves. And I would challenge anybody who goes into that sort of an adventure on a regular basis to look at the parts of their lives where they do not have boundaries and structure set up for themselves.
Right.
So I think that, and again, you're right. Nobody's trying to fat shame anybody. I can see how frustrating it is that we're normalizing stuff, but I also see the perspective of wanting representation. Obviously, people need a place to sit and people need seatbelt extenders. We want people to travel safe. We get that. And I know you're not saying, so I get that. But
I'm
what
not
I'm
saying
saying
take
is,
it out and make these people suffer. What I'm saying is these chairs are going to get bigger.
But what I'm saying is, and the work that we've been doing for the past 11 years is to say to people, this is not a matter of people just, you know what, if those overweight people would just eat less food, they're the ones to blame because they're, and what you've been saying in your message this whole time is your good intentions have been stolen.
Yeah.
And when you are addicted to processed foods, which if you eat processed foods every day, you have an addiction. It's really hard to get off of that. And you might have an even deeper lying food addiction and food issues and disordered eating. There's a lot of stuff at play, especially when you're carrying around extra weight and you're not healthy. And when you go through the process of saying, you know what, enough, and do like what Scott King, the people who said this one day, I'm about to change things. I know I need to change things. Please know that we're here for you to help you take the first steps, the second steps, the 1,000 steps, because it's not all going to change in an instant. Rome wasn't built in a day. And if you are not practiced drawing boundaries with yourself, whether it's because you have a physical food addiction, meaning that the carbs cause you to be hungry and repeat the cycle over and over and over again, or whether it's emotionally based or spiritually based or mentally based or whatever you want to call it, because there's always something else at play. It's not just that the carbs are physically addictive. There's always something else that's going to come up. Just know that we're here for you to help you learn how to establish those boundaries because we've all had to go through that.
And
That's
don't
just
think
what
I
I wanna
don't
say.
understand the issue. Original Kim that I talked to, she texted me, because this woman works her butt off. She's got like 3 jobs, and she just got a new job somewhere where she's making more money and all this kind of stuff. Is very happy, and she was explaining to me that the minefields of food and junk food comes at her in 5 different directions, and
Yeah.
sometimes
It is a minefield.
and look, I get it. You get a stressful day. You get a really stressful day. And, she'll write to me and go, I fell prey to blah, blah, blah today. And this and that whole thing. But she always picks herself up out of bootstraps and
Right.
moves on. But so I get it, man. The world is full of minefields. I feel lucky that, like when Don Coddington said to me, oh, wait a minute.
It's the billionaire Don Coddington's Friday, 5 o'clock. Stop. Have a good weekend.
By the laws of the 1972 Geneva Convention, whatever that. How did that come on? That's an old podcast. All right, Anna, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So Don Coddington, when we're walking up a mountain one day, and we're talking about, because he was 70 or 80 pounds heavier than he is now, and I said to him, I said, Don, explain to me, when would it happen? Because you work out like an animal, you get ready, you climb these mountains, you're in incredible shape, but you have this extra girth on you. For someone almost like a sumo wrestler, right? This guy is huge. And I said, well, what happens, man? What goes on? And he said, well, you have a stressful day at work, blah, blah, blah. And I go home and on my way home, and I say, and what would you get? And he mentioned devil dogs.
Right.
He says devil dogs. And I'm like, what's a devil dog? And And he goes, come on, don't pretend you don't know what a devil dog. You remember that whole conversation. I said,
Yeah.
Don, is that a hot dog? He realized at some point that I had no idea what a devil dog was. It's some kind of cake that you get, wrapped in cellophane, at the store. And that's when I realized, wait, I really don't live in the world. I don't know what some of these cakes and pies and candies are that people get, because I've never been enticed by that in a grocery store, right? Chocolate is my thing. Chocolate and ice cream. That's all. That's mine, folks. I have a sugar addiction. The reason I just know I have to stay away from chocolate, especially milk chocolate and ice cream. I can't have it in the house. I can't have it around, because I know it's in the house that ice cream will talk to me from the fridge. It will talk to me. I understand that. So I get addiction. I get what that is, right? So I get it when Kim or Don or any of these people tell me, you get stressed out, people are throwing it at you. I'm hearing from people down south right now in Mississippi and Louisiana. It's king cake season down there. I get it, folks. I get where you are. You just have to think about who you want to be, who you want to live for, why you want to live, and that's what you need to do. Anyway, Anna, meat. How do I make meat? It looks like you wanted to say something before that.
I don't want to. I feel like we should have saved this for a Monday show. I'll be honest with you. I thought we were going to talk about cooking and make it light, and now it's been a whole thing. And
it just got me, man. It got me right before. I didn't mean to turn.
I know. I understand. But you know what? You're saying unpopular things, and people are going to come after you. And I know where your heart is, but they don't. So there you go.
Look, I'm trying to help people. I'm sorry.
I know.
I care about people.
But
if that makes me unpopular, I'm fine.
The thing is that most people, on the inside when you want to change, and when you need to reach out for help, and sometimes you don't even know how to reach out for help, or you feel so disheartened because you feel like you've tried so many things and it's not going to work, and there's still just so much. I was doing a radio show, and they were talking about all the cholesterol and butter, and I was like, wait, what? Like, it was so far beyond the world that I live in. And I tell you guys, when I'm out in the stores sampling sauce, I cut up bread to hand out with the sauce. Do you know how many people tell me they don't want bread? Probably per 50 people. Vinnie, how many people do you think say no thanks on the bread?
Per 50 people. 10%, 5.
1. There's 1 every time.
One.
And I go, oh, me too. Yeah. So it's like, I give the bread because most people eat the bread and they like to try the sauce with the bread.
Right.
They think it's crazy to just taste a tomato sauce without anything to either dip in it or taste with it. And sometimes I give out a gluten-free cracker with the dip and with the dill dip, But for the most part, we are at the cutting edge of this thing, even though the keto is having huge moments and there are more and more people in this space getting more and more of an audience, and people are having more and more success with it. And even in your following's growing, my following's growing, but it's like, we are still very much on the fringe of using food to heal disease in people.
Well, Anna, the same thing happens, I'm not a wine drinker, but people come over. Summertime, we might have something out on the patio. We make a charcuterie board that's got, walnuts and pecans on there and a bunch of 5 or 6 different cheeses. And, but we don't have crackers. We forget that people have, so we'll serve wine and cheese and nuts on the charcuterie board, and they'll go,
right.
And Serena might chop up some bell peppers, and it's really,
Sure.
We do a really nice spread, right?
Yeah.
And people go, I'm sorry, you guys don't do crackers? And it's like, no, we don't have crackers. It's the oddest thing. People don't get that we don't have crackers. It's bizarre to most people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And so if I'm trying to sell a pasta sauce when most of the world still eats pasta, you better believe I'm going to hand it out with a little piece of bread or a piece of gluten-free cracker.
But 1 out of 50. So we're talking.
I'm not kidding. I
That-
actually
that's-
didn't
that's
used to
2%,
do
that's
it. And then I was
2%.
like, wait a
Yeah.
minute. If I want to sell 1 out of 50 is 2%.
2%.
Okay.
Because out of 100, there would be 2 people.
There's
2
always
100 is
one
2%.
person who comes up and either says, I have celiac or I do keto. And I go, oh my God, you're my person. Like, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But there's one in every demo and then nobody else. Everyone else is like, oh yeah, I'll have the bread. I'm like, okay. Here you go. Enjoy. I do try to buy a nice bread that I serve. I don't serve like Wonder Bread or anything, but
No,
you know
no,
what I mean? I'm trying
I'm getting it.
but
No,
you know
I
what I'm
get it.
saying? And
Yeah.
so it just reinforces to me how crazy we sound by trying to use, at least change the way you eat to help you heal from some chronic stuff, or at least make life easier, mobility easier, getting around, getting your kid out the streets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's important.
And
So
those are the stories I hear, the Scott King stories, that, you know, the Tim Mallion stories, you know, Kim. These are the people I talk to, you know, Megan Hawks, you know, these people have struggled their entire life, you know, with a weight problem. And they're not lazy people. I mean, Megan Hawks swims and runs, and, you know, my little girlfriend over there, Susie DeMeester,
she's very busy.
that woman works a full-time job, and she's getting ready to run a half marathon.
Yeah.
You know, and she's got a wedding coming up.
Right.
You know, it just, and you look at what these people are doing. People want, you know, when people, they go, oh, fat people are just lazy. No.
But that is a common way that people write off heavy people. They're like, you're lazy.
And they're not.
No.
And, you know, and they feel that people think that of them too.
Mhm.
It's just not the truth.
No.
You know, I have members of my family who are more, that's why I get so, that's where my excitement comes from, my family.
Then let's transition this, because generally where I come into the process is when people have had that come to Jesus moment. They're like, I'm going to change. I've heard about this NSNG. I've listened to a couple podcasts of Vinnie, or I've watched Fata Documentary or Fata Documentary 2. I've read Fitness Confidential. I'm ready to go, but I do not know how to make anything. And you told me to eat happy, and I'm still intimidated. And then that's where I get the kickback of, I don't feel like cooking. I don't know how to do this. This is too much. I don't want to learn how to, it's like too much new behavior. It's too much of a paradigm shift. And so what I wanted to talk about today was getting in the kitchen and not feeling like you're super intimidated. Because Vinnie, you've come really far.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Let's use me as an example. So every time Serena leaves, whenever the bitch leaves me, usually she goes to England. And she's, you know, she went to take care of her sister. She was gone for a month this summer. Then her mother fell ill. She was gone for another month. You know, there were times I never had to learn how to cook my entire life.
Right.
And here I am, all of a sudden, I had to fend for myself.
And I'm sorry, you cannot do convenience food.
No, oh God, no.
Every day. You can't do restaurant every day. First of all, budgetarily, but also, you guys, we're not taking seed oils out of restaurants anytime soon. They're not going anywhere.
No.
So if you want to avoid the seed oils,
have seed oils.
the finest of finest. You could go to the Michelin star and they still use them there.
I'm covered for breakfast because I can make
That's
eggs
easy.
20 different ways, and I know how to make a piece of bacon better than anyone else.
Yep.
And I make it the way I like it.
Right.
But then, you know, comes, you know, lunch. I'm not a lunch guy. I do a little charcuterie. I'll do some olives, maybe a boiled egg or two or whatever, or nothing, or some olive oil, or I take my own product, my ultra fats. You know, I'm not a lunch eater.
Right.
But here comes dinner.
And dinner is the most important meal, I feel like, because
I'm going to go into fasting now until tomorrow morning.
Right. So we want to complete the day. It's a nice marker to the day for people who have folks living with them. I want you guys to be able to enjoy food together, but I also know during the week it's hectic, it's frantic. You don't have extra time. So first of all, if I could implore you to, when you're at the grocery store, always pick up, and if it's on sale, pick up extra because you can freeze it. Pick up a lot of different cuts of meat. Okay. some ground beef, at least 80-20, if not 85. What is it called?
80,
75.
75,
There is a
25.
75-25, but it's harder to find, but 80-20 you can find.
Yeah.
And what's the 85-15 at the very least? You want the extra fat.
See, I don't even like the 85-15. I mean,
I know 80-20 is better.
80-20 is the best.
Although if you're buying grass fed, if you're able to get that, it's not always even, sometimes it's 90-10 because there's not as much fat content in that. So just know that you might need to add some butter or some olive oil or whatever. Always get ground beef, get some ground pork, get some chicken thighs, bone in, skin on, or without the skin and the bones. We'll figure it out. The only thing that I don't like to get in freeze is salmon, but you can definitely get vacuum packed fillets of salmon and freeze them and then unfreeze them. So it might be that you need to remember to put the meat in the morning from the freezer into the fridge, or the night before. Hey, I'm going to make this, and make sure you thaw it and put it in the fridge. That's a step. You do have to think ahead a little bit. But I'm trying to think of what other cuts of meat that are really great. Obviously, if you can grab some steaks, that's awesome, because steaks you can always throw in the freezer if you're not going to make them right away. But at the very least, pork chops, fantastic. So if you have ground beef and ground pork, you can make meatloaf, meatballs, burgers. You can make
Ground beef for taco meat.
Taco meats, taco bowls.
Yeah.
You can do an Asian themed one. Just make sure you don't add any sugary stuff to it. You could the Vietnamese spring roll in a bowl is a great recipe on my site. That's easy to make. You can do it with chicken or with beef. And I really like the combination of ground beef with ground pork. It kind of changes it up a little bit. But if you just have a pound or two of ground beef, do that. And if your ground beef goes on sale, buy as much as you can, because you're going to never stop using it. You will never stop using ground beef. That's just one of those things.
I mean, look, even if you brown up too much, throw it in the fridge. Wait till it cools off. Throw it in the fridge. Next day for breakfast, heat it up. Throw
That's
a
right.
couple of eggs on top. You can't get a better protein.
Even if you have the
breakfast
tiniest amount of leftover food at dinner, even if it's a little bit of vegetables, save them, because they go so well with a scramble. You can just pop that into a scramble, and you're changing up, because people always say, I'm tired of bacon and eggs, because you need to change it up. You need to.
Yeah, you got to get rid of mouth fatigue.
Yeah, you got to do that. So also too, if you ever see a pot roast, and I'm talking about a chuck roast, even like a sirloin roast, a tri-tip, anything like that, if you see them on sale, grab them, because those are easy to thaw the night before, and then you start it in the slow cooker in the morning. I have the absolute easiest, best pot roast recipe you'll ever have, and I've written about 7 pot roast recipes because I love pot roast.
Yeah,
and it's at my Substack. It's called Not Just Another Pot Roast. But if you go and search any keyword at my Substack or my website, you'll see where all the links are. And I also have a master index that I paid a guy a lot of money to code. So you can go to annavicino.com, click master index, and put in, chicken, and the recipes will just come up, because I want you guys to be able to find them, especially if you have the books, obviously. And it tells you what page number it's on or what website it's at. And if it's at both places, it will tell you both places of where it is. So, and chicken thighs I like, because especially if you have bone in, skin on, it's rare that you'll find boneless with the skin on. In American grocery stores, they don't really do that. And if you can find chicken breasts with bone in, skin on, that's another rare thing to find. You can get those. Usually chicken breasts are going to be without, they completely trim the fat of those. And most of the time when you're new to NSNG, you're going to want to get ground turkey, and you want to get chicken breasts. And that's because you think that you have to eat those on a diet, and you're not quite ready for the meats, for the red meat. And that's fine. I have plenty of those recipes that can help you out until you realize that it's okay to start eating a fattier cut of meat. Chicken breast, you're going to want to do recipes where you're adding some fat to it, which I've already kind of talked about, drizzling the Villa Capelli. The chicken and artichoke cherry tomato spinach recipe that's in the first book is it's like almost like a Tuscan chicken creamy thing. Of course, adding bacon, chicken Dijon is wonderful. So let me tell you something. The easy trick is make sure you focus on the stovetop recipes. Stovetop recipes cook much faster. Vinnie, if you are in a rush and you just need to get some food, do you fry the steak in the pan and eat it? Or do you say, I'm going to make a whole pot of chili and wait 7 hours?
I'm going to both sides on the piece of meat and
then shove it down your gob, right?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
So stovetop recipes are going to cook the fastest. Second fastest is stuff that starts in the stovetop and finishes in the oven. Like, for example, the chicken parm, which you can get done in 15, 20 minutes. You season the chicken breasts, you dip them in the almond flour or the pork rinds, you fry it in the pan, put it in a casserole dish, dump the sauce over it and the cheese, put it in the oven to finish it. It's done very quickly. And also, too, I say this till I'm blue in the face. Trust me. Believe me, you will never find a low carb chicken parm at any restaurant anywhere in the United States. They don't exist. You have to make it at home. So if you're like, I miss Italian food, I miss pizza, I miss chicken parm, you got to make the chicken parm. What you doing?
All right. So chicken parm is one of those things, like in my mind, that like I have your books. When Serena's gone, I would never turn to chicken parm because for me personally, it's too many steps. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but did you hear what I just said? How you fry up the steak in the pan? You fry the chicken in the pan, you dump the gravy on there, you put the cheese on there, and you finish it in the oven. I feel like you can do, if you could make the eggnog, which has way more steps.
Yeah. You
see,
but you see,
do with chicken thighs too. It's also good with chicken thighs.
I'm making a point here, Anna. I wouldn't have ever thought of doing that before right now, because in my mind, it seems like it's too many steps.
Right. And what I'm here to tell everybody is that if restaurants knew that you knew how few steps it is, you would just make chicken parm at home and you wouldn't go to the restaurant and spend $25 a serving.
Oh, Serena makes your chicken parm all the time. I just assumed. You see, that's my assumption. It's like,
it's restaurant quality.
Yeah, it's got it. I'm sitting there eating this and going, oh, obviously, this took some doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know. So it doesn't. And by the way, I don't like to do stuff that's so complicated. Oh, another cut of meat that's really great to buy and have on hand is a pork tenderloin. Because a pork tenderloin isn't just about roasting the loin whole, which I have several of those recipes. You can also cut those into medallions and they're so tender and it's just something a little different. Yeah. And by the way, filet, we love beef filet, but it's more expensive. A pork tenderloin is way more affordable. It's so inexpensive. I don't know why, but it is.
They're delicious. And
they're delicious.
People always ask me about it. It's like, well, can we have pork? It's like, of course. It's like, is that heart healthy? It's like, oh yeah, it's heart and it's delicious and it's cheaper. It's everything you want. It is.
Bacon might be more expensive, but the rest of it's very affordable. The pork chops. Okay, so this is why I came out with the spice mixes, and you don't have to use my spice mixes. You can mix up spices at home. I have plenty of those recipes too. You cover the pork chops just like you'd cover the steak in a spice mix, and you fry it up in the pan. Honestly, it can't get any simpler than that. With vegetables, we often roast the vegetables in the oven, or I pan fry vegetables. And you guys, if you only knew how many recipes I write that are born out of a necessity to use up what's about to go bad, because we all do that thing where you go to the grocery store and you're like, I'm eating all these vegetables. And then they all wind up kind of going bad. And you're like, oh, I better cook all these. Just cook them, fry them up in the pan, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, olive oil, and you have a side. And if you can tolerate cheese, put some Parmesan on there, put some cheddar on there. Boom. You're done.
And by the way, it works even if you can't do cheese. Still good.
Still good. Because salt, pepper, or onion powder, and garlic powder are my flavor secrets. It's so simple. Yeah. And again, from the people who started listening to us early on, who we've gotten in the kitchen, there are great admins in my Facebook group who know their way around the kitchen. They're so good. Yeah. And they started where you are. They started with not knowing. And they're like, I basically learned how to cook from these books. And that to me is like the biggest victory that could possibly happen with the books. The other victory is that when you cook these recipes, the other people in your family are going to come after your food. So if you want to make sure that you feed everybody, you might have to double some recipes. Yeah. Because they will come after your food and they don't apologize to you. They just take it from you because it's so good.
It's wrong in every direction.
Oh, it's wrong. But they're your family and then you can't say anything.
Yeah, of course.
I think because my husband is the eldest of 3 boys and I'm an only child, there's that dynamic in the household of he feels entitled to my food and I never want to share without some advance notice. Like, give me advance notice and I'll share, but you don't come after my food, but he does. So I feel the pain of that. Make extra food.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an Italian guy thing. He had 3 brothers too, just like
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. It's every man for himself. It's a weird thing. Yeah. By the way, Anna, you guys just had a 24-year anniversary.
We sure did.
Oh,
my God. Talk about a funny Instagram comments. The number of people who think you and I are married is hilarious.
Really?
Yeah. Like, happy anniversary to you and Vinnie. No. No. I mean, Serena's in your posts.
Yeah.
I will say Lauren doesn't appear on camera very often. He's a writer, so he doesn't like to appear on camera very often. However,
but we look similar because we're both WAPs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm older than him, but
it's really funny the number of people who are like,
yeah,
great, you guys, you and Vinnie have really made it.
You really pulled it off.
I was like, you know why Vinnie and I have pulled it off? Because we're not married to each other.
Yeah.
That's why we get along so well.
We don't actually ever see each other.
Yeah.
Works like a charm.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, look, it's, as you know, it was out of necessity that I had to start walking into the kitchen and I didn't know what to do. So I just started pulling your book out. And that's when I kind of came up with my own, protein crime thing. And said, well,
Look, the sauce helped you with the crime.
Yeah, because the sauce, when I was helping my mom recover, it's like, you just sent me a bunch of sauce. And I was like, okay, I have the sauce. Okay, I could put it on eggs. I could put it on meat.
Right.
I could put it, it's kind of like a tampon commercial from the 70s. I could go skiing. I can go kayaking and play tennis. Does anyone remember those ads?
I know it was so exciting that women finally had tampons and then they could actually do physical activities.
That was like, hey, you can play tennis in these things. You can, they had Dorothy Hamill.
That's right.
Spinning around,
Oh, I had the Dorothy Hamill haircut.
Yeah.
When I was 6.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was 6 years old with that
was like
cut.
Yeah. It's just, and, they had her spinning around. I was like, hey, I can skate on days when I'm having my period.
I remember that. By the way, you did bring up something that I was thinking of. Another easy thing that you can do if you feel like I'm so bored of everything and I have leftovers that are about to go bad, put everything in a big pot. And if you have an onion or carrot or celery, chop those up, put salt and pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and then pour a bunch of chicken broth in there, because oftentimes you're hopefully using your leftover bones for broth, but oftentimes people are just buying boxes of broth and then never using them. Pour that in the pot and just put all your leftovers in there and make a soup. Make soup. And you can even put a half a jar of marinara in there for a little bit of different flavor profile with the soup. What are you doing?
Looking for something.
I know you're Googling. You have the Google face.
I have a Google face.
Yeah. He's turning red again.
Always turn red.
Yeah, no, you do actually. You blush easily for a greasy guinea.
Yeah, I do. Okay, got it.
Okay, play it.
Yeah, I can't because the thing is still on.
I'm still sold out of the barbecue dust. I'm sorry. It'll be back soon. You know that feeling, Vinnie, where it's like the thing that everybody wants and then they get mad. Hey, by the way, for all of you who've been sending naggy emails, hey, where is it? You guys better buy it when it comes back in stock.
Yeah.
I will say if you sign up at the site, you can put your email address in because it'll automatically send you a thing when it's back in stock. I won't tell anybody else it's back in stock until you guys get first dibs on it because they can only make so much at a time. And
you guys need to know that this is coming out on the 17th of this month, February. We're more than halfway through the month. So if you want to get 20% off at purevitaminclub.com with promo code Vinnie, VINNIE, no wimpy Y, go to purevitaminclub.com. Everything 20% off. It's a one-time thing. Even if you get a subscription, you will get the 20% off your subscription. And then you will go down to the subscription price, which is a deal in and of itself.
That is a good deal.
Yeah, it's a deal all the way around. 20% off right now. I was asking Chris and Andy, I was like, is anyone picking up that deal? I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, it's crazy not to get these products first off, we sell them at the lowest possible price to begin with. I make the best vitamins in the world. We source the best products. And my deal has always been to sell the best products, the best nutrients in the world at the lowest possible price. So 20% off, that's just cutting it right down to the nub. And that's to get you guys to try this stuff. So go check it out. Promo code Vinnie. Do that right now. Anna Vocino's got a lot of stuff over at Eat Happy Kitchen. Just go over there and get everything. Get the cookbooks, get the gravies. You get yourself the powders. I ran out of powder at some point and I thought I had more powder in the thing. I had a cold sweat going when I ran out of the barbecue powder because
I'm out of my life, and I use it almost every day. I'm going to be honest with you.
It changes my life. When Serena was out of town dealing with her mom, that was the game changer right there. Period. So go check out everything at eathappykitchen.com. But you know what to do. We all go shopping on Amazon. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTortorich.com. Put a little coal on the fire, gets my train down the track. We also have the ebook. If you're new to all of this and you want to lose weight and be healthy, get the NSNG ebook. You can get that at VinnieTortorich.com.
It is life-changing. It is life-changing.
Yeah.
You guys got to get that book.
So let me turn